All right. So, welcome. We have our next spotlight stage for high achievers and Robynne Pendariès. Am I saying it right?
Perfect.
We welcome you to this spotlight stage. And today you're going to talk about ADHD and entrepreneurship. And you're going to give some hacks and hints and cheat sheet notes at the end. So, I encourage everyone to stay and find out whether everyone's watching on the replay because you're in Paris. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and your work and what you're passionate about?
First of all, thank you for spotlighting me, Shane, and for coaching me for this spotlight. That was definitely enlightening. So thank you again. I have been living here in Paris my whole adult life. I came over here to be with my then boyfriend, now husband, who's French. I studied child psychology, grew up in Philadelphia and studied child psychology in college. And then after working a little bit in the clothing business here in Paris, I started my own business as a professional organizer. So, my own boss, entrepreneurship, I was on my way. I did that for a very long time, actually, for 17 years. And then I went back to school online to become an ADHD coach for adults because I realized that so many of my clients do have ADHD, my organizing clients, as well as my husband and my 21-year-old daughter. So without realizing it formally until they got their diagnosis and I, went back for this training, I was just surrounded by it all the time and loving it and helping people without even knowing why.
Amazing.
So
Amazing. So I'm self-diagnosed. We've talked at length about this a little, but I'm self-diagnosed ADHD and a lot of TikToks and da 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 are like helping people self-diagnose many things. But you gave me, and just to give, yeah, what do you want to say to entrepreneurs in this group that have been diagnosed or are much like me and feel very like a kindred spirit, I'll say in the loveliest of way, to the brain of ADHD?
well, first of all, ADHD is like the worst name ever for a disorder. And there's a lot of people that even say it shouldn't be a disorder. It's just a different way of thinking, a different way that your brains are wired. I say you because I don't have ADHD. Okay, so I'm separating myself from people who are neurodivergent, what they call it. But what's so amazing, especially about entrepreneurs, is that the strengths that people with ADHD bring to the table and bring to the entrepreneurship are things like creativity, resilience, adaptability, doing amazing in stressful situations, also too, especially in the workplace. And so all of these things can make somebody an amazing entrepreneur. And there are a lot of entrepreneurs actually who have ADHD by the nature of the fact that very often they want to work by themselves because they find it hard to work in teams, or very often they weren't successful working in teams or working in big organizations because of their challenges.
Hmm.
So in order to focus on their strengths, they think, sometimes rightfully so, sometimes not, okay, I'm going to become an entrepreneur and run my own business, not realizing that there are all these executive function skills that come into play when you're running your own business. Um, just to give a few, I mean, there's a very, very long list. And you would understand this also too when you think about your own business. Focusing, obviously, that's a big one. Prioritizing on tasks, planning things in advance, time management, how you spend your time, organizing systems, organizing your space, your workspace around you, stress management, managing finances, following through on projects. It's like the list goes on and on and on. And so this is where I feel as an ADHD coach that I can help people to create systems that fit them and fit their brain specifically as entrepreneurs. Because I feel like I meet a lot of people who say, "Oh, I've read that book, or I've tried that app, or whatever it is," a multitude of systems and things to help them as entrepreneurs. And those tools very often, or most of the time, are designed for people who are neurotypical or people who have different brain wiring. So I think it's important not that you put the label on yourself, whether you're self-diagnosed or diagnosed, but just so that you understand better through coaching and possibly through therapy or other, means, to understand yourself better and how you show up and what your strengths are, how your brain works best, so
Hmm.
that you can be that entrepreneur that just kicks ass and does things that suit you. So again, there are systems that fit you, that are only for you, Shane. And it's not what everybody else is doing,
Yeah.
because those might not fit you, so you really have to find your own way and find your own, how you show up, find your own vibe.
Yeah. And I just to attest to that, like I was born with a lot of chutzpah for sure. And then I lost it because schooling was like, you don't fit in. You're supposed to be gifted and talented, except you're a mess. You can't stop talking. You can't get organized. You're not applying yourself, like all these really damaging things. And later in life, I found out I'm a verbal learner. I process verbally, and there I was getting thrown out of the classroom. So I say that to you because it's so important to have a mentor and a lead and a guide, because those messages as children really are damaging. And, this, like you said, this world of entrepreneurship for someone who wants to make their own rules and their own way, it needs supports. We need systems in life, or we wouldn't brush our teeth on a very simple level. And so to have someone who's like, hey, let's create something that's just for you is so fantastical, but so necessary.
So necessary, yeah. And the word that you said that really resonates is the word support, because entrepreneurs very often, as attractive as it may be in the beginning, after a while it gets lonely. And like, who are your resources around you? What are your resources around you to help you? And very often, it can almost be like we're all in COVID. We're just behind our screens
Yes.
and doing the same thing, day after day. And wow, where is the human connection? Who's out there to help me to move the needle? Who's out there to help me to follow through with my projects? Who's out there for me? And so I like to be that person, but I also think this is why high achievers support group is very special to me and to a lot of other people, is I think that we get that support whether we have some kind of challenge like ADHD or not, like we're all in this together, in this entrepreneurship together. That's the
Yeah.
way I feel.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And I want to mention quickly, and you can talk about it more, but you have something coming up, a Zoom I don't know what it's called, a Zoom class or a master class, whatever. What are you calling it? Yeah, tell us a little.
Calling it a Zoom conversation
Oh, beautiful.
because it is going to be like a conversation. So my idea when I started training as an ADHD coach, I remember that my mentor said, who are your people? Who are you really speaking to? And it was women entrepreneurs. Like, those are the ones. But even more specifically, Shane, it's women who have a late diagnosis or self-diagnosed, but much, much later on in life. So women now, they're calling you the lost generation, because it's people who, when they were children, and this will resonate with you, were not diagnosed, were made to feel that you were different, lesser than, not as intelligent, ashamed to be who you, on and on and on and on, right? And so now those women like you are like, wow, oh, wow, ADHD, this could be me. And this is resonating with a lot of women, but they're coming to the table with a lot of baggage, a lot of negative self-talk, a lot of, poor feelings about themselves or negative feelings about themselves. So that's really the challenge. So I thought, these are my peeps. These are the people that I really want to help, not only, but these are the people that I really want to help. And so I created this Zoom. It's called ADHD in Women: Self-Diagnosed, Misdiagnosed, Undiagnosed. Come learn more. So we have a clinical psychologist who does assessments. So she's going to talk about the assessment process. There's also an OBGYN here in Paris. She's American. And she's going to speak about the intersection of, well, the intersection, hormones and ADHD, which is something that very few people are talking about, because, again, the research was always on boys or on men, not so much on women. So we are so far going in the right direction, but we're so far from actually having more information about, when your estrogen goes down after your period, after childbirth, during menopause. When your estrogen goes down, your dopamine goes down. And if you know anything about the ADHD, you know that you're constantly looking to produce that dopamine in your brain to create the interest and to keep it fun and keep things exciting in order to keep your interest going.
Oh my God. Wow.
So this is how men and women completely differ, although men are a little bit affected by their testosterone in terms of the onset of ADHD characteristics. But let's just take them out of the picture for a second. Anyway, so this OBGYN is going to talk about that. And then I have two testimonials of two women, one who's 50 and one who's 60. And, about one of them is self-diagnosed and the other one's officially diagnosed. And they're just going to talk about, what they went through, the good, the bad, the ugly. And
Amazing.
so it's going to be a conversation, just like I'm doing this with you, I'm going to do that with them. And yeah, and then afterwards I'll follow up and give people more resources. And I just feel like I want to be part of the awareness that needs to be created about adult ADHD and to break the stigma, because it does still, any kind of mental health still has a lot of stigma attached to it.
Amazing. I mean, if anybody's watching and feels resonant, I
Hope some people are watching.
well, we're recording this because you're in Paris.
Replay. Yeah.
You're on daylight. But when
Thank
you're
you. Yeah.
watching this, to just type wow in the comments, because as you were speaking, I just got full body chills. Like I'm a dopamine hunter. Um, and I see it so clearly. Like I love shopping, and it's like I can return the things. I feel my heart racing. Like I feel the chemicals filling my body with joy and spirit. And I'm like, this is real. This is a real situation. And even the idea of having an appointment, but going to get the thing, even the library, I can feel that way because I get to take something with me. What were you going to say? Sorry.
No, the dopamine hunter, I love that. You're so creative. I'm sure that you could think of a million metaphors about, ADHD and your brain, which is really interesting to explore also too in coaching. And that's not what I wanted to say, but maybe it'll come back to me.
Okay. Bookmark it. So what are some specific entrepreneur, I would say hacks, or I called it a cheat sheet. That was my little interjection. But yeah, how can if somebody's watching right now and they're like, "Oh man, I need help. I feel very seen and understood by you. What should I do right now?"
Okay, can I come back to that? Because I do remember what I
Oh
wanted to
yes,
say.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
So that whole idea about dopamine hunting, when you are an entrepreneur and when you are by yourself, you have that freedom to do that. You don't have the structure around you of anybody telling you where you need to be, when you need to be. So that's right. So that can be something that works against you. But what can work for you is you can use your creativity and you can follow your interest and find things that are going to create that dopamine in your brain. Whereas if, a boss hands you over a project and you're just like,
I would go running. I can't. I'm unemployable.
yeah.
Amazing.
So to get back to a hack, I
Yeah.
have one that's very, very specific that I'd like to share. I
Sure.
mean, of course, there are lots of others, but the whole point also of coaching is that I am not the expert of you being my client. Okay. So I don't show up giving hacks. I help my client find the hacks and the things that works best for them through
Yeah.
asking them questions that are pertinent and kind of helping them to connect the dots. So I just want to point that out. But I will give one because you asked. um, to get back to what we were saying about negative self-talk and
Yeah.
this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy and how people, are always getting down on themselves when something goes wrong. So it's really important, and it sounds so corny, but it's just like anything else. If you can retrain your brain, right? There's
Yes.
something called neuroplasticity. We
Yes.
can retrain our brains. So to reframe something that's negative, to reframe it into something positive, if you start your sentence with even though,
Hmm.
I'm going to get you to do this.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm already picking one. I'm like, which one do I want to share?
Well, can I? Okay, you can say two or three as an example because
Oh,
I'm
great.
using you as the person
Great.
with ADHD. Okay. So before we started, I told you, I said, oh shit, Shane, I don't know if my Wi-Fi is working.
Yeah.
And I said, can we try it out? And you said, hold on, I'm in the middle of procrastinating about this email.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd like you to start the sentence about even though in relation to your procrastination.
Um, one where that doesn't work about me.
Well, start the sentence by saying,
Oh,
even
okay.
though I was procrastinating right before the Zoom,
Okay.
and then
Even
you finish
though
the
I
sentence.
was well, so this is what I would do with you asking me. I'm just going to be
Okay.
next.
Okay.
So even though I was procrastinating about an email, our appointment was at 12 and you were asked and I wasn't ready before 12.
Okay. Try something else.
Yeah.
Even though I fell into a rabbit hole this morning instead of getting up to exercise.
Oh, that's a good one. Even though I fell into a rabbit hole of procrastinating to get up, so I didn't exercise. Um, I got re I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. I got ready, I put my makeup on, like I feel like I showed up on time. I'm actually interested, I'm present, my dog is calm, like I'm living a pretty full life with lots of amazing things to procrastinate on.
That was perfect. That
Okay.
was perfect.
Oh, I got
So,
it. Got
you
it.
got it. So it's just a way of, like, because let's say you woke up and you fell into a rabbit hole on internet and you didn't exercise like you said that you were going to do or you should do, that four-letter word should.
Yes.
And then you were like basically beating yourself up all day. Or even because you didn't exercise, you felt and you didn't get that dopamine in your brain from the exercise.
Right.
Maybe afterwards you weren't productive. And then the more unproductive you were, the more you started saying, I'm like a good for nothing and I'm just like so stupid and I can't do anything and I can't follow through. And then you started this cycle of negative talk, negative self-talk.
I love what you just did because I did it myself. I thought I was going to tell you my yucky sentence and then you were going to, but I love what you did because it's what comes to mind is wait, what were the two words that you gave?
Even though,
Even though I chose a bread-based breakfast and I really wanted to have celery juice first, I know that I can make a choice after. And I don't have to have a messy eating day, but I can. So it's just like it gives you no choice but to go uphill. Like that, even though,
completely.
yeah.
Completely. And what I love is the two things that you picked, even though I guided you on the first one, it has to do with self-care also too. Because especially with women, that's how we feel that we judge ourselves the most of how we show up. It's
Um,
less in relation to work, but it's so much in relation to our personal lives, how I show up as a friend,
wow.
how I treat my body, how how I eat,
It's so
all
interesting.
those
I
things.
mean, this is what I've seen, like when I've seen people who call themselves addicts and they wear a lot of makeup or they overdo something because inside they are really being hard on themselves, which maybe I did a little, but I also organized my makeup, so I don't think it was something. But it's like, how can I look better or feel better on the outside or get their nails done? Like when I see people who have some kind of addiction and I can see it physically, I'll just say weight related, but they get their nails done religiously. It's my judgment that it's like, I feel so bad inside, I have to do something. So I'll spend money on shoes or nails, things that can be easy to cover up or just do without work.
That's interesting. I never thought about that. That's very astute of you, Coach Shane.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I love, it's all we could talk forever. I like your brain. All right, cool. Well, so people can sign up to come to your conversation, or if they're like,
Yes.
I'll come, but I want to work with you. I need help for me to be my best self and to really get stuff done and create systems. Like, how do you help people? If somebody reaches out to you, like what can they expect in terms of service, or what do you help them with?
Well, first they can expect a discovery call, which usually lasts about 30 minutes. And I think that's important. It's not a lot of time, but it's important. So it's important to be able to determine if I'm a good fit for them and if they're a good fit for me, if we're a good fit for each other, basically. And yeah, and then after that, there's a little bit of paperwork, just a tiny bit. And the
Yeah.
people who can't handle it, they don't follow up. And then if people follow up and they're really interested and committed to the coaching, then we start to coach together. It's one-on-one, it's not group coaching. That is something that I think that I know is beneficial actually for people with ADHD. So something that I might put into place later on. But otherwise it's, it's one-on-one. It's on Zoom. So it's virtual. So I work with people in the United States. I work with people in the Far East. It's just it's very international. And I work with a lot of entrepreneurs because those are the people that I have in my entourage and that I like to work with and that I like to help. So I welcome anybody to contact me for the discovery call. I think you're going to put the notes in afterwards, maybe
Yep.
about how to contact me, and also to RSVP for my Zoom, which is on March 27th at 8:30 p.m. Paris time. So that will be 2:30. No, that will be 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
And I
Great.
think most of the people, at least in our group, are on Eastern Standard Time, but not
I thought so
necessarily.
too,
Maybe
but
not.
yeah, look it up. Like, but I
Yeah.
think it's 5 hour difference now here,
Okay.
but
Yeah, between you and
there's,
me.
you can find that out. But I will put the link
Yeah,
for that. And depending when you watch this, people might watch this after.
that's
Um,
true.
what I encourage people to do, whether it's coaching or mentorship, like don't overthink it. Just hop on a call if your mind is like, oh, she could really help me. Like, don't get stuck in the overthinking. Because that's an isolated activity and you really get a lot of juice when you show up in connection with someone. So that's why I
So the
really,
juice that you, I'm sorry, the juice is the dopamine that you just
yes,
said.
yes,
And getting stuck in the analysis paralysis and overthinking is something that I think will resonate with people who are watching if they have ADHD. That's something very, very common. So thank you from one fellow ADHDer, maybe to another one, for pointing that out.
hey, I know you. Yeah, yeah, it happens. I see it, I can speak to it. I work with a lot of people and yeah, it's all very interesting. And so anything else you want to share or cover that came up or that you want people to know?
I do want to say thank you to you and Mara for creating this group. I think it's really, really special. And I appreciate the time that you took to coach me through and to uh, make me feel more comfortable being in the spotlight.
Yes, it's my pleasure. I recently found out I'm an extrovert, but I'm a sensitive one, so I get energy from this. I
Yeah,
feel more organized when I have other people shine. It really gives me like my own little spotlight.
we can tell.
Amazing.
Thanks, Shane.
Yes. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching and bye-bye.